businesswoman told her daughter to choose a father among the rich, but she chose the driver. Jennifer Taylor felt her heart race as she watched her daughter Emma standing in the middle of the room. The 8-year-old stared intently at the 4 elegantly dressed men, waiting for her decision as if it were a child's game. Then Emma raised her arm and pointed directly to the corner of the room where Michael Johnson discreetly held his black cap in his hands. "I choose him, Mommy," the girl said with the natural ease of a child. The silence that followed was deafening. Jennifer's cheeks burned with embarrassment as the 4 suitors exchanged uncomfortable glances. Dr. Richard Anderson, the renowned cardiologist, cleared his throat softly. Beside him, Brian Mitchell, the real estate tycoon, nervously adjusted his Italian tie. The criminal defense attorney, William Cooper, kept a stern expression, while the banker, Stephen Roberts, couldn't hide an ironic smile. Michael remained frozen, his eyes wide with surprise. For 5 years, he had worked for the Taylor family, always maintaining the professional discretion his position demanded. He had never imagined he'd be put in such an awkward situation. "Emma, sweetheart, you didn't quite understand," Jennifer tried to correct, her voice trembling. "These gentlemen here are your potential stepfathers. Michael is our driver." "I know who he is, Mommy, and I want him to be my dad," the girl replied, walking toward Michael with determined steps. Jennifer looked desperately at her mother-in-law, Mrs. Eleanor Taylor, who watched the scene from her leather armchair with an expression of absolute disapproval. The family matriarch at 72 had orchestrated this meeting as a last attempt to save the cosmetics empire her late son had built. "Emma, come here right now," Mrs. Eleanor ordered, tapping her cane on the marble floor. But the girl completely ignored her grandmother and reached out her hand to Michael, who remained paralyzed by the situation. Emma's brown eyes shone with a determination that belied her young age. "Uncle Michael always helps me with my homework when Mommy can't. He knows all the stories I like and never gets mad when I spill juice on the car seat," the girl explained, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Dr. Richard cleared his throat again, this time louder. "Well, I believe there's been a misunderstanding here. Perhaps we should reschedule this conversation for another time," he suggested, heading for the door. "No, please, doctor, stay," Jennifer pleaded, but the other 3 men were already following the cardiologist toward the exit. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Michael finally found his voice. "Mrs. Taylor, I think it's best if I leave too. I never meant to cause this embarrassment," he murmured, keeping his eyes down. "You're not leaving." Emma held the driver's hand tightly. "Mommy, why can't Uncle Michael be my dad? He's way nicer than those boring men." Mrs. Eleanor rose from her armchair with difficulty, leaning heavily on her cane. "Jennifer, fix this right now. Do you see what happens when you let the child spend too much time with the help?" The elderly woman's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Grandma, Uncle Michael isn't the help. He's my friend," Emma protested, tears welling in her eyes. Jennifer felt torn between the humiliation of the moment and the anguish of seeing her daughter so upset. In the 2 years since she lost her husband Daniel in a car accident, she had devoted herself entirely to keeping the family business afloat. Perhaps I had truly grown too distant from Emma in this process. "Michael, maybe it's best if you take a few days off," Jennifer said, trying to maintain her composure. "I need to talk to Emma without distractions." The driver nodded respectfully, but when he tried to release the girl's hand, she clung even tighter. "No, I don't want him to leave," Emma shouted, drawing the attention of the maids who peeked through the kitchen door. "Emma, stop this scene right now." Mrs. Eleanor Taylor approached her granddaughter, her face red with anger. "You will choose one of the suitable suitors, or I will make the necessary decisions for your future myself." "What decisions, mother-in-law?" Jennifer asked, a chill running down her spine. "If you can't raise my granddaughter properly, perhaps it's time to consider other guardianship arrangements," the elderly woman replied coldly. Michael realized his presence was only making things worse. Carefully, he knelt to Emma's level and held her small hands. "Princess, I need to go home now. I need..." But you must listen to your mommy and grandma, okay? He said softly. Will you come back tomorrow? Emma asked between sobs. Michael looked at Jennifer, who averted her gaze. We'll talk about that later, all right? Be a good girl now. After Michael left, Jennifer took Emma to her room, leaving Mrs. Eleanor alone in the living room. The girl cried herself to sleep, whispering the driver's name like a prayer. That night, Jennifer stayed awake late, reviewing the financial reports she had hidden from her mother-in-law. The cosmetics company Taylor & Sons was on the brink of bankruptcy. Sales had plummeted after Daniel's departure, as he had been the public face of the brand. Suppliers were pressing for overdue payments, and the bank threatened to foreclose on the mansion they lived in. Jennifer had pinned all her hopes on the meeting with the suitors. Dr. Richard Anderson had connections in the medical world that could boost the dermatological product line. Brian Mitchell had offered substantial investment in exchange for marriage. William Cooper could resolve the pending legal issues, and Stephen Roberts from the bank had hinted at debt renegotiation possibilities. Now everything was ruined because of Emma's childish whim. The next morning, Jennifer decided it was time to be firm. Emma woke up asking for Uncle Michael, but was told he wouldn't be coming to work that day. Why, Mommy? Is he sick? The girl asked, worried. Michael is busy with other things. From now on, Paul will take us where we need to go, Jennifer explained, referring to the substitute driver she had hastily hired. But I don't like Paul. He doesn't know the songs I like and he swears in traffic. Emma, you need to understand that Michael is an employee. Employees don't become family. The girl looked at her mother with a heartbreaking expression of disappointment. Daddy always said family isn't just about blood. It's about who loves and cares for us. Jennifer felt a lump in her throat. Daniel had indeed often said that, especially when speaking of Michael, whom he considered more than just an employee. Mrs. Eleanor came down for breakfast with a stack of papers in hand. Jennifer, I need you to sign these documents, she said, placing them on the table. What are these? Temporary guardianship transfer of Emma to me. It's for the child's good, until you sort out this mess you've gotten yourself into. Jennifer picked up the papers and skimmed through them. They were genuine legal documents prepared by the family's law firm. Mother-in-law, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. Emma needs stability, and you're clearly in no position to provide that. Letting her grow attached to a driver is proof enough of that. He's not just a driver, Jennifer defended, surprising herself with her own words. Michael has worked with us for 5 years. He's reliable, responsible, and poor, Mrs. Eleanor interrupted. Jennifer, wake up to reality. We're going bankrupt. This house, the company, everything Daniel built is about to disappear. Our only chance is a strategic marriage with someone who can save us financially. What if I don't want to marry just for money? Then you'll lose Emma too. I've already spoken to my lawyer. I have legal means to prove you're not providing a suitable environment for my granddaughter. Jennifer felt the walls closing in around her. She knew her mother-in-law wasn't bluffing. Mrs. Eleanor Taylor had powerful connections and wouldn't hesitate to use them. That same day, Jennifer called Dr. Richard Anderson and asked for another chance to talk. The cardiologist, a refined 52-year-old man, agreed to meet her for dinner. At the city's most expensive restaurant, Dr. Richard got straight to the point. Jennifer, I'll be honest with you. I was interested in a partnership that would benefit us both. You need financial stability, and I need a wife who understands the demands of my profession. What about Emma? Children adapt. In time, she'll understand that Michael was just a phase. I can arrange for her to attend the best boarding school in the country. Boarding school? Jennifer nearly choked on her wine. It's ideal for children who need discipline. My ex-wife always said too much closeness with staff confuses a child's mind. Jennifer realized Dr. Richard saw Emma as a problem to be solved, not a child to be loved. Still, she agreed to consider his proposal. Meanwhile, Michael was at home caring for his 84-year-old mother, Mrs. Rose, who suffered from severe arthritis. Their modest home in Queens was a stark contrast to the Taylor mansion, but it was always clean and filled with the comforting aroma of home-cooked meals. Son, you seem different today. Did something happen at work? Mrs. Rose asked, noticing his restlessness. Nothing serious, Mum. Just some issues at the boss's house. That little girl you always talk about? Emma? Michael nodded. In the 5 years working for the Taylor family, he had genuinely grown attached to the girl. After losing his own daughter Lily to pneumonia at 6, meeting Emma had felt like a second chance at fatherhood. "Mom, do you think it's wrong for a man like me to dream of having a real family?" Mrs. Rose held her son's hand with her arthritic fingers. "Son, the heart doesn't choose social class. If you love that child as your own, it's a gift from God." "But I'm just a driver, Mom, and they're important people." "Michael, do you remember the story I always told about how I met your father?" Michael smiled. His mother loved recounting how she fell for a construction worker while working as a nanny for a wealthy family. "I remember, Mom." "Then you know true love doesn't look at bank accounts. Is your boss a good person?" "Mrs. Taylor has always been fair to me. She's just going through a tough time." "And the girl really likes you?" "Emma is special, Mom. She has a huge heart, even after everything she's been through." Mrs. Rose nodded thoughtfully. "Then maybe you should fight for this family instead of running from the problems." The next morning, Jennifer received a call from Emma's school. The teacher, Mary Grace, a seasoned 45-year-old educator, requested an urgent meeting. "Mrs. Taylor, Emma is displaying concerning behavior. She refuses to participate in activities and spends all her time drawing the same picture," the teacher explained, showing several drawings. Jennifer examined the papers. Each depicted the same scene: a little girl holding hands with a tall man, both smiling. "She said it's her with the father she chose," Mary Grace continued. "Mrs. Taylor, in 20 years of teaching, I've learned to recognize when a child is suffering. Emma is clearly grieving." "Grieving?" "Yes." "Has she lost someone important recently?" Jennifer felt her chest tighten. Emma was mourning Michael. "Teacher, may I ask, do you think it's normal for a child to become so attached to a family employee?" "Mrs. Taylor, children bond with those who offer genuine love and attention. If Emma has chosen this man as a father figure, it's because he fulfills a real emotional need." That afternoon, Jennifer decided to stop by Michael's house. She had never been to his neighborhood before and was surprised to find a well-organized, welcoming community. When she knocked on the modest home's door, she was greeted by Mrs. Rose. "You must be my Michael's employer," the elderly woman said with a warm smile. "Please come in. Michael is in the backyard fixing some chairs for the neighbor." Jennifer stepped into the simple yet impeccably clean living room. The walls were decorated with family photos and some colorful children's drawings. "Are these Emma's drawings?" Jennifer asked, recognizing her daughter's artistic style. "Yes, she always sends little drawings to Michael. He keeps every one of them with great care," Mrs. Rose explained. "You know, my daughter-in-law, my son, talks about that girl so much I already consider her my granddaughter in my heart." Michael appeared at the door, visibly surprised to see Jennifer there. "Mrs. Taylor, is something wrong with Emma?" "Michael, we need to talk." They sat on the small porch while Mrs. Rose prepared coffee. "Michael, I came here to understand something. Why is Emma so attached to you?" Michael stayed silent for a moment, carefully choosing his words. "Mrs. Taylor, I know it's not my place, but Emma is a special girl. After I lost my daughter, taking care of her has been a blessing in my life." "You had a daughter?" "Lily. She passed away at 6. Pneumonia." Michael swallowed hard. "When I started working for you, Emma was the same age my Lily was when, well..." Jennifer felt a wave of compassion. She had never imagined Michael carried such pain. "I didn't know, Michael. I'm so sorry." "You didn't need to know. I just want you to understand that my affection for Emma is real. To me, she's not just my employer's daughter. She's a daughter of my heart." At that moment, Mrs. Rose brought the coffee and, without ceremony, sat with them. "My dear," she said, addressing Jennifer, "may I tell you something as a woman who's lived a long life?" Jennifer nodded. "I raised 7 children, and what I've learned is that children don't lie about love. If your girl has chosen my Michael as her father, it's because she sees something in him that maybe adults can't. But Mrs. Rose, our situation is complicated. We're from different worlds. My dear, The only different world is one without love. The rest is just details that can be worked out with goodwill. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Jennifer returned home with much to reflect on. She found Emma in her room still drawing obsessively. "Sweetheart, we need to talk." Emma looked up at her mother with eyes still red from crying. "Uncle Michael isn't coming back." "Emma, explain something to me. Why did you choose Michael and not one of the other men?" The little girl put down her crayon and turned fully to face her mother. "Mommy, the other men didn't even really look at me. They only talked about money and business. But Uncle Michael always asks how my day at school was, helps me with my hard homework, and when I have nightmares, he knows exactly what to say to make me feel better." "And what does he say?" "He says, 'Daddy is in heaven watching over us, and as long as I'm with people who truly love me, I'll never be alone.'" Jennifer felt her eyes well up. "Daniel used to say those exact same words." "Emma, you know Michael isn't as wealthy as the other men, right?" "I know, Mommy. But when I was with those men, I felt invisible. When I'm with Uncle Michael, I feel special." That night, Mrs. Eleanor Taylor sought Jennifer in her office. "Jennifer, I've made a decision. I'm speeding up the guardianship transfer process. Mother-in-law, please, just give me a few more days. There's no more time. Dr. Richard called me today. He's interested in resuming talks, but with one condition. Emma must be enrolled in boarding school immediately after the wedding. You agree with this?" "If it's necessary to save our family, yes." "Jennifer, you must understand, Emma is a child. She'll get over this fixation on the driver. And if she doesn't, then she'll learn to live with it. Children don't run the household." Jennifer felt cornered. The next morning, she called Dr. Richard and scheduled another meeting. This time he was even more direct. "Jennifer, I'll be clear. I'm willing to settle all the company's debts and ensure a comfortable life for you and Emma. In return, I want a solid marriage and Emma in a proper educational institution." "What if I tell you Emma doesn't want to go to boarding school? Children say many things. What matters is what's best for them." Jennifer realized she was being pressured into a decision that could traumatize Emma forever. That afternoon, she took action that would change everything. Without telling anyone, she picked Emma up early from school and drove to Michael's house. "Uncle Michael!" Emma shouted with joy, running into his arms. "Mrs. Taylor, is something wrong?" Michael asked, concerned. "Michael, I need you to be completely honest with me. Do you truly care about Emma, or is she just a job to you?" Michael knelt to be at Emma's level. She wouldn't let go of his hand. "Mrs. Taylor, I love this girl as if she were my own daughter. If that's a problem, I understand, but I can't lie about my feelings. What if I told you I'm considering a marriage of convenience to save our financial situation, but it would mean sending Emma to boarding school?" Michael's expression changed completely. "You can't do that to her. Emma's already lost her father. She needs love and stability, not more loss." "Then tell me, Michael, what would you do in my place?" Michael thought for a long moment before answering. "Mrs. Taylor, may I suggest something? What if I help you find other solutions? Maybe together we can save the company without you having to sacrifice Emma's happiness." "How so?" "I have some savings. It's not much, but it could help with the most urgent debts. And I know people in the neighborhood who work in sales. Maybe we can find a way to restructure the business differently." Jennifer looked at this simple man offering his savings to solve another family's problems. "Michael, why would you do this?" "Because this isn't just the boss's family to me, Mrs. Taylor. You're my family too." Emma looked from her mother to Michael and smiled for the first time in days. "Mom, now do you understand why I chose Uncle Michael?" That night, Jennifer made a brave decision. She called Dr. Richard and definitively refused his proposal. Then she faced Mrs. Eleanor. "Mother-in-law, I won't sign the guardianship transfer." "Jennifer, you're making a terrible mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." "So you'd rather watch everything Daniel built disappear?" "I'd rather try to save his legacy in a way he would approve of." "And how do you plan to do that?" "With the help of people who truly care about us." The next morning, Jennifer, Michael, and Emma gathered in the mansion's kitchen to discuss a plan. Michael had brought an old notebook where he'd written down some ideas. "Mrs. Taylor, I spoke with some people in my neighborhood. There's a lot of interest in beauty products, but everything on the market is too expensive. Go on. What if you created a simpler product line with affordable prices? My neighbor Connie," he smiled at the name, "she runs a small salon and always complains the products are too expensive for her clients." Emma, who'd been drawing while listening, looked up. "Mum, remember when Grandma always said Grandpa started the company by selling products door to door?" Jennifer paused. It was true. Daniel often told how his father, Emma's grandfather, had started Taylor & Sons by selling homemade ointments in their Queens neighborhood. "Emma's right," Jennifer murmured. "Maybe we've strayed too far from our roots." Michael continued. "And there's something else, Mrs. Taylor. In my neighborhood, many women work from home doing direct sales. If you created a program for them to sell the products..." "You mean direct sales? Consultants?" "Exactly. My neighbor Patricia sells clothes door to door and earns more than many office workers." Jennifer began seeing possibilities she'd never considered. She'd always thought about competing with luxury brands, but perhaps there was room for a more human, affordable approach. "Michael, do you really believe this could work?" "Mrs. Taylor, I know many families who'd love quality products at fair prices, and I know many women who'd appreciate earning income from home." Emma clapped her hands excitedly. "Mom, can I design the product labels?" Jennifer looked at her daughter, then at Michael. For the first time in 2 years, she felt a spark of hope. "All right, let's try." In the following days, Jennifer, Michael, and Emma worked together on the new strategy. Jennifer used her technical knowledge to simplify formulas, Michael mapped potential markets in his neighborhood, and Emma created colorful designs for packaging. Mrs. Eleanor watched with growing skepticism. "Jennifer, you're being absurdly naive. How can you entrust the company's future to a driver?" "Mother-in-law, Michael understands a market we've never explored, and he's proposing practical solutions. Poor people's solutions for rich people's problems. Maybe they're exactly the solutions we need." Meanwhile, Dr. Richard didn't give up easily. He began showing up unexpectedly at the company, offering help and insisting Jennifer was making a mistake by refusing his proposal. "Jennifer, be rational. This plan you're crafting with your driver is fantasy. You need real capital, serious connections. Doctor, I appreciate your concern, but my decision is made." "And your mother-in-law? Does she agree to this madness?" "She'll have to accept it." But Dr. Richard wasn't willing to take no for an answer. He began pressuring Mrs. Eleanor Taylor, arguing that Jennifer was clearly emotionally unstable. "Mrs. Taylor, as a doctor, I can confirm that Jennifer is making impulsive decisions that will harm Emma in the future. A woman who puts a driver on the same level as a qualified professional like me isn't thinking clearly." The pressure was working. Mrs. Taylor began considering serious legal alternatives to take control of the situation. A week later, Jennifer received a court summons. Mrs. Taylor had filed for guardianship, claiming her daughter-in-law was mentally unfit to care for Emma or manage the company. "Mother-in-law, how could you do this? Jennifer, it's for your own good. You've lost touch with reality." "My sense of reality? I'm trying to save our family. By pinning your hopes on a driver? Jennifer, wake up." Emma witnessed the argument and ran to her room in tears. Michael, who had arrived for a meeting about the project, found the girl sobbing. "Princess, what happened?" "Uncle Michael, Grandma wants to take Mommy away from me. I heard her talking to a lawyer on the phone." Michael's heart sank. He knew his presence in the family's life was causing complications, but he never imagined it would come to this. "Emma, your mother is a strong woman. She'll handle this." "But what if she can't? What if they take me away from you?" Michael knelt and held the girl's hands. "Hey, listen to me. No matter what happens, you'll always have people who love you. And people who love each other always find a way to stay together. Promise you won't give up on us." Michael looked into Emma's determined eyes and felt a courage he didn't know he had. "I promise, Princess, I promise." That night, Michael went to Jennifer's house for a serious talk. "Mrs. Taylor, I think it's best if I step away. My presence is causing problems for you and Emma." Michael, no. You're part of the solution, not the problem. But the legal issue, we'll face it together. Michael, these past few days working with you on the project, I've seen more hope than I have in 2 years trying to impress wealthy investors. Are you sure? I am. And besides, there's something you need to know. I was reviewing Daniel's papers and found this. Jennifer showed Michael a document that left him stunned. Daniel left specific instructions about Emma. He wrote that if anything happened to him, he trusted you to care for our family. There's even a savings account in your name with a substantial amount. Mrs. Taylor, I had no idea. Daniel never mentioned it. Never. I can't accept this money. Michael, this money was left for you because my husband trusted you, and he was right. You've cared more about Emma's well-being than any of the wealthy suitors who've come around. Michael fell silent, processing the information. Daniel really wrote this. His words are right here. Michael Johnson is a man of integrity, who loves Emma like a father loves his daughter. If anything happens to me, I trust him to care for my family better than any wealthy or influential person. Tears streamed down Michael's face. Your husband was a special man, Mrs. Taylor, and he chose you to take care of us, just like Emma did. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. With the money left by Daniel, Jennifer and Michael were able to pay off the most urgent debts and invest in the new project. They converted part of the mansion into a simplified laboratory and began producing their first line of affordable cosmetics. Emma actively participated, testing colors for the labels and suggesting names for the products. Her childlike creativity brought a lightness to the project that had been lost in the previous corporate approach. The first test was in Michael's neighborhood. Mrs. Rose became the first official consultant selling products to her neighbors. The success was immediate. Michael, in just 1 week, your mother sold more than some of our old distributors did in a month, Jennifer remarked excitedly. It's because here in the neighborhood we know each other, Mrs. Taylor. When someone recommends a product, it's because they truly believe in it. The project began growing organically. Other women in the neighborhood asked to become consultants. Jennifer developed a simple training system and started expanding to nearby areas. But Mrs. Eleanor Taylor hadn't given up. The injunction hearing was scheduled, and she had hired the best lawyer in town to prove Jennifer was mentally unfit. Dr. Richard Anderson also intensified his attacks. He began spreading rumors that Jennifer was having an affair with the driver and using Emma to cover up the inappropriate relationship. Jennifer, you know these rumors could hurt the court case, Michael warned, concerned. I know, but I won't let gossip destroy what we're building. What if I stepped away temporarily, until things settle down? Michael, how many times do I have to say it? You're not the problem. You're part of the solution. The court hearing took place on a rainy Tuesday. Mrs. Eleanor arrived accompanied by Dr. Richard and an intimidating lawyer. Jennifer only brought Michael for moral support, and Emma, who had insisted on being there. The judge, Judge William Parker, a seasoned man in his 60s, listened carefully to both sides. Mrs. Eleanor's lawyer argued that Jennifer was making irrational decisions, jeopardizing Emma's education and future by romantically associating with an employee. Your Honor, the respondent turned down advantageous marriage proposals to pursue a business fantasy with her driver. This demonstrates clear mental instability. Jennifer responded calmly. Your Honor, I didn't turn down advantageous proposals. I rejected proposals that treated my daughter as a burden to be removed. My priority is Emma's emotional well-being, not just her financial security. The judge then did something unexpected. He asked to speak with Emma privately. Emma, do you understand why you're here today? Yes, sir. Grandma thinks Mommy doesn't know how to take care of me. And what do you think? I think Mommy is taking care of me the way Daddy would have wanted. She's trying to save our company without sending me away to a boarding school. And what about Michael? What's his relationship with you? Emma thought carefully before answering. Uncle Michael treats me like his own daughter. When I'm scared, he protects me. When I struggle with schoolwork, he helps me. When I miss Daddy, he tells me beautiful stories about how the people we love never really leave us. Emma, Do you know Michael isn't as wealthy as the other men your grandmother wanted your mother to meet? I know, but wealth isn't just money, right? My daddy always said the richest person is the one with a family who truly loves them. The judge was impressed by the maturity of her answer. When they returned to the courtroom, Judge William Parker delivered his decision. After hearing all arguments and, most importantly, after speaking with the child, I find no evidence that Jennifer Taylor is incapable of caring for her daughter. On the contrary, I see a mother who is prioritizing the child's emotional well-being over financial convenience. Mrs. Eleanor Taylor was visibly shaken. Furthermore, the judge continued, the child shows emotional maturity and stability, which indicates she is being well cared for. The request for guardianship is denied. Emma ran to hug Jennifer and Michael simultaneously. Outside the courtroom, Mrs. Eleanor Taylor made one last attempt. Jennifer, you may have won today, but you still have to prove you can save the company. And when you fail, I'll be here. Mother-in-law, if I fail, it will be because I tried. But I won't fail. In the following months, the affordable cosmetics project grew beyond expectations. Jennifer developed a social franchising system where low-income women could become entrepreneurs with minimal initial investment. Michael proved to be a natural strategist for penetrating mainstream markets. He understood the needs and desires of their customers in a way Jennifer had never imagined. Emma continued contributing with her childlike creativity, but also began showing interest in the technical aspects of the business. Jennifer taught her basic chemistry, showing how the products were formulated. The success didn't go unnoticed. A national business magazine wanted to feature the entrepreneur who saved the family business through social inclusion. During the interview, Jennifer was asked about her relationship with Michael. "Is there something romantic between you two?" the journalist asked. Jennifer looked at Michael, who was helping Emma with a drawing in the corner of the room. "There is love, yes, but it's something deeper than romance, it's family love. Michael has become part of our family in a way that transcends any traditional label. And plans for the future. We want to keep growing, but without losing our essence. Our mission is to democratize beauty and offer entrepreneurship opportunities to women of all social classes." The article had a huge impact. Franchise requests poured in from across the country. Jennifer had to assemble a team to handle the growing demand. Mrs. Eleanor Taylor, seeing the undeniable success of the project, slowly began to change her stance. One afternoon, she showed up at the company and asked to speak with Jennifer. "Jennifer, I need to apologize. Mother-in-law, I was wrong about Michael, about Emma, about everything. My fear of losing Daniel's legacy made me forget the values he truly stood for. Daniel always believed successful businesses should have a social purpose," Jennifer agreed. "And you've achieved that. Michael isn't just a driver, he's a visionary, and Emma has the wisdom only pure-hearted children possess." It was the beginning of a gradual reconciliation. Mrs. Eleanor Taylor asked to be involved in the project, offering her administrative expertise. Dr. Richard Anderson, however, didn't take the failure of his plans well. He began spreading more serious rumors, trying to damage the company's reputation. But the community that had formed around the brand was strong. The consultants mobilized to defend Jennifer and Michael, creating a support network no rumor could destroy. A year after the court hearing, Taylor & Sons had completely transformed. From a failing luxury brand, it became a leader in the affordable cosmetics sector with a social mission. Jennifer decided it was time to formalize Michael's role in the company and the family. One Saturday afternoon, she gathered all employees and consultants in the company courtyard for a special announcement. "When my husband Daniel founded this company, he dreamed of offering beauty and self-esteem to all American women. We lost our way for a while, but Michael helped us find it again." The audience applauded. Michael, visibly moved, held Emma's hand. "That's why I want to officially announce that Michael Johnson is now a partner at Taylor & Johnson," Jennifer continued. The surprise was universal. Michael hadn't known about Jennifer's plan. "Mrs. Taylor, Michael, you deserve this. Not just for your work, but for the love you've given our family." Emma let go of Michael's hand and ran to an improvised microphone. "Can I say something?" she asked in her clear little voice. Jennifer nodded, curious. I want to thank everyone for helping my mommy and Uncle Michael save our family. And I want to say I learned something really important. Family isn't who you're born with, it's who you choose to stay with. The audience fell silent for a moment, before bursting into emotional applause. That evening, Jennifer, Michael, Emma, and Mrs. Eleanor Taylor dined together at the mansion. For the first time in years, the house was truly filled with family joy. Michael, Mrs. Eleanor suddenly said, I'd like to make a formal request. Of course, Mrs. Eleanor. I'd like you to consider moving in here with us. This house is too big for 3 people, and Emma would love having her adoptive father always nearby. Michael looked at Jennifer, who smiled encouragingly. And Mrs. Rose. I can't leave my mother alone. She's invited too, Jennifer replied. This house needs more joy, and Mrs. Rose has always been welcome here. Emma clapped excitedly, thrilled at the idea of an even bigger family. 2 months later, the move was complete. Mrs. Rose settled perfectly into the new home, bringing her plants and recipes. She and Mrs. Eleanor, despite their class differences, discovered many shared interests and became great friends. Michael officially took on the role of Director of Social Development at the company, focusing on expanding the consultant program in underserved communities. Emma continued her special role in the company, creating drawings for campaigns and participating in events as a symbol of the brand's family philosophy. Jennifer finally found the balance between professional success and personal happiness she'd lost after Daniel's departure. One Sunday morning, the family gathered in the mansion's garden. Emma played with a new drawing while Jennifer and Michael reviewed expansion plans. Mrs. Rose and Mrs. Eleanor tended together to a vegetable garden they'd decided to plant. Michael, Jennifer suddenly said, do you ever regret joining this whole mess? Michael smiled, watching Emma chase a butterfly. Mrs. Taylor, I spent my whole life waiting to have a real family. When Emma chose me that day, she wasn't just picking a father. She was choosing true love. And you? Aren't you curious about how your life would have been if you'd stayed just our driver? I'm sure it would have been a good life, but not a complete one. You gave me the chance to be a father, a businessman, and part of a family. How could I want anything else? Emma ran up to them, breathless from playing. Uncle Michael, Daddy Michael. She was still getting used to the new title. Can you help me make a special drawing? Of course, Princess. What kind of drawing? I want to draw our whole family to hang on the company wall, so everyone can see that family is about love, not money. Jennifer and Michael exchanged emotional glances. Emma's right, Jennifer said. Maybe we should create an ad campaign based on that idea. Beauty in family, because every woman deserves to feel special. And we can use real stories from our consultants, Michael suggested. Women who transformed their lives through entrepreneurship. And I can draw all of them, Emma added excitedly. That's how the company's most successful advertising campaign was born. Real stories of transformation, illustrated by Emma's naive yet touching drawings, spread across the country. The company grew not just in revenue but in social impact. Thousands of women found a dignified source of income through the consultant program. Many families were transformed, just as the Taylor-Johnson family had been. A year later, Jennifer received an invitation to speak at an international conference on social entrepreneurship. The theme was how family love can transform businesses. During her talk, Jennifer shared the full story, from the moment Emma chose Michael to the company's transformation. What I learned, she told an audience of over 1,000 people, is that children have a wisdom we adults lose. Emma chose Michael not because he was wealthy, but because he offered something money couldn't buy: unconditional love. And did that work in business too? Someone from the audience asked. It worked because Michael brought authenticity to our brand. He understood people's real needs because he lived among them. It wasn't market research, it was real life. After the talk, many companies approached Jennifer for consulting on social inclusion and developing markets for underserved communities. Michael also began receiving invitations to speak, especially at events focused on low-income communities. His story of social mobility inspired many. "The secret," he always said, "isn't leaving your roots behind. It's using your roots to build bridges between different worlds." Emma, now 10 years old, had developed a special talent for art and began taking professional drawing lessons. Her work became more refined, but kept the emotional purity that had won so many hearts. One evening, she was drawing in her room when Jennifer came in to say goodnight. "Emma, can I see your drawing?" The girl showed an illustration of a large family gathered around a bountiful table. "It's our family, Mom. Our whole family. Me, you, Dad Michael, Grandma Eleanor, Grandma Rose, and all the consultants and employees. Because family isn't just who lives in the same house, right?" Jennifer felt her eyes well up. "No, sweetheart. Family is everyone we choose to love, and who chooses to love us back. That's what Dad Daniel taught Dad Michael, wasn't it? To love our family even when he wasn't part of it at first. Yes, that's exactly it. Mom, do you think Dad Daniel is happy in heaven seeing how our family has grown?" Jennifer kissed her daughter's forehead. "I'm sure he is, my love. I'm sure he is." End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this story of perseverance and true family love. Do you believe Emma made the right choice by following her heart instead of social conventions? Share your thoughts in the comments and pass this along to someone who needs to believe love always finds a way. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one.